everyone. Welcome to Virtual Veg Fest. Pretty exciting. Virtual Veg Fest Live. Pretty excited about today because we've got a cooking demo and the recipe. Oh my goodness. First of all, I just shared about Caryn's recipe for the artichoke dip, which is a plant-based version, so not full of all that fat and cheese and you typically have in a artichoke dip. And she's taking that and she's putting it into like an egg roll wrapper and air fry. All right, I'm excited. So I hope you are too. So let's say thank you to Plant Based Network as we're powered by them, and also to Arcane for sponsoring our lives this month and this week. And you know that what you can do, you can go to virtualvegfest.com and you can shop our vendors and help them survive this pandemic. And thanks to Crofters Organics, Hodo Foods, Follow Your Heart, and of course Ogane for donating monthly prize packs that you can enter to win by entering our Rafflecopter. And how do you do that? Just go to one of our websites. virtualvegfest.com has the link that says, want to win a prize? Click it and do what you need to do to get the entries to win. Simple as that. Now, Caryn is joining us today to do a cooking demo live from her kitchen in St. Louis, and we have the Center for Plant-Based Living that we'll talk about. And if you have any questions or comments, you know you can put them into the little box and we'll definitely get to them the best we can. But I'm going to bring her on so we can start because I'm so excited to learn this recipe. Hey Caryn, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm like obviously very excited because I literally just shared the artichoke dip recipe in the Triangle and Beyond vegan recipe page that's on Facebook. It's a group. If you want to join, you can out there. Just go
Yeah,
search
thank
that
you.
and answer the questions. And I shared it because I was like, I've made an artichoke dip that's vegan, but vegan sour cream, vegan cheese, vegan parmesan. It's not health food. And you took
Yeah,
it
so
and
you had all the packages and you just opened them and
right,
put them
you put
together.
you put them
Yeah.
together and you bake it and you're just
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is decadently delicious. But you took that and you transformed it into a Whole Foods plant-based healthy version, and then you're sticking that in an egg roll.
Why not, girl? Why not?
I know, and of course I wrote to you to say like you can do this gluten free because I'm gluten free. So, I mean, yes, the rice wrappers. So, everyone who's out there is watching, there's a gluten free option for this. But I want you to share who you are, what you started, tell us what you can, and then we'll start the recipe.
Okay. So my name is Caryn Dugan, and we're right here in the middle of the country in St. Louis, Missouri. And again, I'm coming to you from the Center for Plant-Based Living. And this is actually the nation's first and still only fully plant-based nutrition and culinary education center. I started a plant-based diet. I called it a vegan diet back in 2008 because nobody said plant-based at that time. Back in 2008, I lost my dad to cancer. And then 10 weeks after he passed away, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I mean, that really was the one-two punch I needed to figure out, oh my gosh, what is happening here? Like, I don't really know anyone with cancer other than my dad, who just passed away, and oh, me. I didn't really know anyone who was sick. It was never on my radar. I grew up in the 80s. My mom worked part-time, my dad worked full-time, and my mom was not a chef or even a cook. She just, we had Velveeta cheese, grilled cheese. I had on Sundays, I would watch football with my dad in the kitchen, and we would cook up some fried bologna or maybe some spam if you're really lucky. And we'd put that on white bread. I mean, so these are the foods that I had growing up, and it was just normal, And if I had any kind of broccoli, it was slathered in that cheese sauce, just either Velveeta or whatever came in the package. So that's like totally fake food. But again, no one knew, and that wasn't really part of my life growing up. My life growing up was my parents working, my friends playing outside until the street lights came on, just typical kid stuff. And so as I was started to grow up, then you think, then you're a young woman and you think, oh, I only want to be, this skinny all the time. And so that means counting every calorie, making sure you have no carbs, whatever. And then you go to Weight Watchers and you're counting points. Nothing about any of this is talking about real nutrients and food and connecting food and health. So, you're just kind of going along life doing whatever everybody else is doing. And then all of a sudden you start to grow up and become a young adult. And then you start to see these these cancers and these chronic illnesses, and which is what happened. And so after my dad passed away, and then I was diagnosed, I thought, okay, I've got to figure something out, because I was mourning the loss of my dad. I was trying to be a good daughter to my mom, a good sister to my brother. I was trying to figure out my own self. I was married, newly married. We were rehabbing a house down to the studs. So I was living like in shambles, literally. And I had cancer. So wait. Um, so I thought, okay, I've got to take care of myself, and I don't even know what that means. And I looked around to other people who I thought were healthy, who looked healthy, who seemed healthy. I really didn't even know what that word meant. And so I tried things like yoga. I'm still not into it. I'm very jealous of people who practice yoga on the regular. I'm not there mentally. I tried acupuncture. I'm totally scared of needles. That was not going to happen. I tried to meditate. I'm a huge spaz, no go. And I thought, God, what is this? And then I came across, well, I started thinking about maybe food. I don't know. People always say, eat your veggies, eat your greens, whatever. And so I thought, well, I don't know what that really means. I don't know the connection between diet and health. Like, okay, I get that fruits and vegetables are good for you, but I don't really know why. Nobody says why it is. Nobody ever explained to me. And a lot of the people I hung out with, or people in my life, never said, because they have antioxidants, because of the phytochemicals, because of this, because of that. Like, this is, no one connected the dots. It was just, oh, eat your fruits and vegetables, which is, it just didn't really resonate with me, because when you hear the same thing over and over again, you become desensitized to it, right? So I started looking into that, and I started really just reading studies and papers and medical journals. And at the time, I was working at a medical practice, actually, so I made friends with a lot of physicians, and they taught me how to read medical journals. So I I learned how to do that, and then I just started reading a lot of nutrition papers. And truly, what I was doing is I was looking for the one paper. And by the way, I'm still looking for that paper. I was looking for the one paper that said, "Oh, fruits and vegetables bunk. That's not going to help you prevent disease. That's not certainly not going to reverse anything. It's just probably a good thing to do." I'm still, again, looking for that paper. It doesn't exist, but I did find a lot of really great research on how, especially our dark fruits and vegetables, really help prevent and even reverse many, many illnesses. And I thought, well, that can't be true. I have tried everything else. I guess I'm just going to have to give it a try, just to check off a box, to say I did it, right? So, in one fell swoop, I took everything out of our kitchen, our makeshift kitchen, that was either an animal product, so all the chicken breasts, and then anything that had any animal products in it, because so many crackers have whey in it, or another kind of dairy, and there's chicken broth and everything. So I got rid of everything, and I went to the grocery store, and right there is the produce section. And I just started putting colors in my cart, just putting colors in my cart. That's all. And I thought, well, I don't even know what the hell any of this kind of stuff is, but all right, it's pretty. So I'm going around the grocery store, and I get to, they say don't really go to the middle aisles too much, but the canned beans are okay, and the canned tomatoes or the jarred tomatoes or whatever were fine. So I'm throwing those in my basket. And then I get over to the bakery. Now, I loved my white bread, but I had actually graduated to the brown bread. So, but we know now that's just food coloring. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I can't just do that fake brown bread anymore. I guess I have to get that. And I used to call it a hippie loaf, the really heavy loaf that had all the seeds and whatever in it. I thought this thing could be a freaking doorstop, but I heaved it into my cart, and I thought, all right, I don't know what to do with any of this stuff, but I'm going to go home and I'll figure it out. So I put it all out on, whatever countertop or kitchen island or whatever we had at the time. And I was just at a loss, because nothing had any instructions on it, didn't have several of these things didn't have labels on them. I didn't even know what an eggplant was. I mean, it was a pretty purple color. What was I going to do with it? So I went back, just back to Google, and I thought, okay, well, vegan 101 recipes. And again, so I don't come from anyone. I don't come from a line of cooks or chefs, so I really didn't know what I was doing. And even up until this point, I still didn't like to cook because I had a full time job. My husband had a full time job. We would come home and rehab our home at night. I didn't have any time to learn how to cook. We didn't care. I was just assembling things, or I was making chicken breasts on the George Foreman grill. Remember that? Or, some kind of like frozen smart ones or lean cuisine, whatever. It didn't matter. I was just eating just like so I didn't fall over. And so then I thought, okay, now I have to start paying attention to food, which is so, and we can get into this later, but oh my God, it's so consuming to think I have to think about what I'm actually going to eat every single day, every single thing, every single day. And it has to be the right thing. I can't even, I've been doing this since 2008 and I can see the frustration in people's eyes even now. And I get it. It's very, very, very overwhelming. So one night I was assembling food and my husband we'd finished working for the night. It was about 10 o'clock at night. We would eat about 10 o'clock at night, eat dinner, watch the news, go to bed. And he was on this, I can remember, he was on this old couch that we had. We had kind of again, a makeshift family room where we would sit down and rest every once in a while. And it had sawdust and had plaster dust all over it. And we were all covered in everything every night. And I was giving him this food. I was just assembling food. I wasn't cooking really. Really didn't know how to cook. We had a microwave. And I was assembling food, beans, this, that, whatever, who knows. And he's sitting down on the couch and I'm standing up and his name is Tim. And I said, okay, Tim, here you go. And he looked up at me with these big puppy dog eyes. And he said, Caryn. And I said, what? 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 I mean, stress levels were so high. I was going through so much. And he said, Caryn, listen, what you're doing, I'm pretty sure is correct. I get it, but with this food, you're going to kill us both. And I mean, it was just like that like release of like crying, ugly cry, but I get it. And he's like, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm like, no, you're not hurting my feelings. I'm like, I totally suck. I suck. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm so frustrated. I don't have time to learn anything. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know. Like, not only do we not have cookware, we don't have a kitchen, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm really scared. Like, I don't want to get cancer again. I want to be around for my mom, and I want to be around for Patrick, my brother, and I want to be around for you. And I don't, I mean, it was just like, I just melted, and he said, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And he went, he went to the refrigerator and got some hot sauce and doused the food with hot sauce. And it was a great night. So then the next day, unbeknownst to me, he looked around for a vegan cooking class. And I didn't even think about looking for a vegan cooking class because I really didn't want to learn. I came by this way kicking and screaming. I really did. And I was just, again, trying to check off a box and say it didn't work. I was just waiting for the next cancer diagnosis, or I was waiting for me to get sick again so that I could say that stupid vegan diet, that didn't do anything for me. Well, so we went to this vegan cooking class. It was at Whole Foods here in St. Louis. It was the only one in town back then, and the only vegan cooking class. And we sat up in front, and the instructor, who's still a friend of mine, was awesome. She was slinging plants like nobody's business. She was cooking up food that only had like 5 or 6 ingredients. It was a full class. There was 12 or 15 people. We were all having a good time. She was having a good time with us, and the food was delicious. And I thought, wow, huh, that looks easy. She can talk with all of us, create fun and fast meals. Okay, maybe I can learn a few things. So then after class, we went home and she called me. I still don't know how she had my phone number. She called me and she said, would you like to assist me? And I, you could have peeled me off the ceiling. I was so excited. And I said, yes, 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 I would love to. And she was just going to, at that time, we just had two Whole Foods here in town. And she went to both of those Whole Foods. She had just started at our other one, both to, both of our Whole Foods, just twice a month at night, and did these cooking classes. And so that's what I did. It was only twice a month. And I was her pack mule. I would take, like, all of her equipment and pass out the recipes and do her dishes and just listen and learn. And I kept up with it, and I just, little by little by little, I started to understand. I started to connect the dots. And so we did this for 2.5 years. And she left town. Her husband was transferred to Tennessee. And Whole Foods, I said to Whole Foods, "Hey, thanks so much. This was a great run. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, thank you." And so this was 2011. And they said, "Where do you think you're going?" And I said, "Well, unless you have someone else for me to assist, my time here is done. Thank you so much." And they said, "No, no, no, we want you to teach." And I had become friends with a lot of people at Whole Foods because you start to see them over and over again. And I said, "No, I've never taught anyone anything, nor do I have any interest in doing that." And they said, "Okay, well, here's the paperwork." And I said, "Now, come on." They said, "Just, take it home." Well, I went home, I told Tim, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to do this. You are glowing when you come home." And I said, "No, I'm not doing this." And he said, "Okay, let's go through the paperwork." And I said, "Come." He said, let's just figure it out." I said, "Okay, fine. I'll humor you. Grab a glass of wine. Let's fill this sucker out. Ha ha." And back in 2009, I had started a Twitter account, and just to stalk other people, just to, like, see what people were like, weird vegan world. And I called the account. I named the account STL Veg Girl. STL for St. Louis, Veg Girl. Didn't even think about it, right? I just needed a handle. So again, fast forward 2011. I'm looking through this. I'm going through this paperwork, this Whole Foods paperwork with Tim, and it's very simple: name, address, birthday, social security number, whatever, nothing. And then in the middle of the page, it said business name. I said, "Oh, see, Tim, I don't have a business. Nope, they think that I have a business and I'm a legit thing. No, I can't do it." He said, "Figure it out. Put something in there." And I said, "Fine, I'll just put my Twitter handle in there, STL Veg Girl." And he's like, "Perfect." Well, they were like, "Oh, this looks great. You're hired." And so that's how STL Veg Girl was born. And I started that in 2011. That became a legal entity. And from there, I started teaching at Whole Foods and the cancer support community here in town and a couple of other places. And I realized, and it's still, like, it makes me sweat still when I think about it. Um, my first couple of classes, well, several classes actually, when I was up in front of people talking, I thought, "Oh my God, who am I? Like, I'm not legit. Like, these people are coming through that door, spending good money, coming to see me looking for answers. I don't have any answers. I'm just I'm just a kid who's trying to learn myself." So that's when I went to the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, Neil Barnard's group, as you well know, and looked into their Food for Life program, which was something I had been looking at, but was like, "Yeah, I'll never do that." But I would find myself, yeah, I would find myself going to PCRM often to look at studies and papers and just get resources. So that's how I came about the Food for Life program. And I thought, well, shoot, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to teach, two classes a month, then I owe it to people to give them good information. I was looking for information. I was still looking for information. To this day, I'm still looking for information. I want people to learn from anyone who is well versed in what they do. And the very last thing I ever want to do with anyone is waste their time. So I applied for the Food for Life program. And back then in 2011, I don't know if it still is like this or not, I had to give them a video of me cooking, 3 letters of recommendation, not from a friend or a family member. I had a 2-hour phone interview, a huge long application, and you had to be plant-based for health reasons for 2 years. And I mean, because you're representing PCRM, they want to know that you're the real deal. So that's how I started this whole business. And then I did that, and I created a meal company, and I was a delivery service, and I was a personal chef for a while, just all kinds of things in the last several years. And then, and I'm wrapping this up. Um, so I was Brian Wendell, who wrote the movie Forks Over Knives, is a friend of mine, and we created the first and I think still only 6-week Forks Over Knives in-person program. And I was running that at a local venue here in St. Louis for a long time, a few years. And it was always selling out. It was doing well. People were really reversing their type 2 diabetes, and we were seeing great results. But every once in a while, I would see the snowball would slip back down the mountain, right? The foods that got them in trouble were slowly creeping back into their diet, and they were gaining weight. The skin was, whatever was happening, and back on the meds. And I think I was laying awake in bed one night, and I thought, I wonder what makes people do that. Like, I wonder, not only do they know that this way of eating really is very healing, but they've experienced it, right? They're now healthy, and they're not spending their money on medications, but rather they're saving it for their dream homes, for retirement, and they're walking their little girl down the aisle, and they're holding their grandchildren, and they're able to walk around the block or do marathons at age 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, like, but then they allow that damaging food like substances back into their diet, and they reverse what they've reversed. So they're back to step one. And I put on my coaching hat. I'm a certified health and wellness coach. I don't take on personal clients. It's just another level of education for me to help my patient or help my clients. And I thought about this for a while, and I thought, gosh, it's support. People need support. Whether you are making a lifestyle change, which could be anything from trying to quit smoking, trying to get off the bottle, trying to get to the gym more often, or trying to change your diet, you're on a solo mission. Big groups of friends don't do that together, right? Entire families don't make these kinds of changes together. So you're on a solo mission. And if you're the one who's changing your diet, not only are you on a solo mission, you're the weird one, right? So you have to be damn near scientist to because the defense levels are up, right? Where are you going to get your protein? What about calcium? Are you taking a supplement? Have you told your doctor? I don't know. Nobody asks you that when you've got a cheeseburger from McDonald's in your mouth. But if you're adding more plants to your plate, you better watch out. So I get it. I get all of this. And I thought, well, you know what? Even in this day and age of, of course, this was pre-COVID, even in this digital age, now we're very digital, I thought, I've got to open up a brick and mortar. There's got to be a place, because there's a place for cancer support communities, and there's a place for the Parkinson's Association. There's a place for the Diabetes Association. Everybody has a brick and mortar, right? But I couldn't find one for people who wanted to go plant-based, or at least just who were just curious about this. Certainly you don't have to go plant-based, but if you just start looking to add more plants on your plate, a place that specializes in that. So I called up Brian, and I called up somebody else, 2 different conversations. And I said, listen, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Who in the country is doing this, so that I can fly to them, pay them for their time, pay them for their knowledge, and replicate that in St. Louis for our community. And he said, no, it doesn't exist. And this other person who I called said, no, it doesn't exist. I said, no, come on. Are you telling me that there's nobody in Brooklyn, New York, or Berkeley, California, 2 totally progressive areas of the country? You're telling me that they don't have something like that? And they said, nope, it doesn't exist. And I said, I don't buy it. And they said, well, you can keep looking yourself, but you called us, you called me for a reason. I was like, okay. So I thought, okay. Also, and I asked them, I said, why isn't there a place like that? And they said, because people are like you. They are service based. They're going around to different grocery stores and different venues, into people's homes and into hospitals and doctors' offices, and holding these classes and educating people that way. And I said, that is terrible. That is terrible because guess what? When you are sick, and you are confused and you don't know what to do, the one thing I can tell you you're not going to do is get into your grocery flyer and say, I wonder if they have a plant based class coming up anytime soon. Or you go even online, I wonder where I can find a plant based. No, 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 no. You need a place to go where you can find the resources, where you can find the support. So for 2 years, I saved up everything I had. And on the anniversary of my dad's passing, which is August 13th, and it was so August 13th of last year of 2019, we opened up again the nation's first plant-based nutrition and culinary education center, the Center for Plant-Based Living. The end.
That is that is awesome. I'm gonna go into cooking demo mode so you can start cooking because some people are like anxious to
Okay.
learn this recipe, and
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
still be
Okay.
I'll still be able to talk with you. So that'll be great. Let me go in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean that's you're the typical person who's someone says, hey, try plant based, try vegan, and they kind of go, how? Most people don't. A lot of people don't know how to
Right.
cook. So and you have
Yep.
that background. You're like, I don't cook. Now you're cooking.
Oh,
You're gonna do a cooking
girl.
demo for people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, if you would have told me that I would ever get, if I was going to be doing this today or even have this business, I would have asked what you were on and I would have asked for a hit of it because there's no way that I would ever have thought this. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. One thing that I always do, I'm going to grab a bigger knife. One thing I always do during my cooking demos is show people how to correctly hold a knife so they have the most control. And what you want to do, first of all, this is not how you hold a knife. This is not how you hold a knife because I don't know anybody who has an index finger that strong to get through these really, really tough root vegetables, right? The tubers, the potatoes, the turnips, everything. You need some strength. So let's hold on to that knife like a hero. You want to pinch the bottom of your blade and wrap your hand around the top of that handle. Now you own that knife. And I would really encourage anybody to start doing this for the next week, week and a half, and just start holding your knife like this. It may be a little uncomfortable, but I think that even just holding it just out in the air like this, you'll see that you have a lot more control of your knife. Okay, so onion. Doesn't matter which end you're going to cut off, just cut off one of the ends pretty close to the end. Now you have a flat surface on which to cut. No more roly-poly onions. Pull this back a little bit. Now you're going to cut straight through that onion. I'm only going to use, I think I'm just going to use half of it today. And I will save this guy back here. Now we're going to take off the skin of the onion. This is the way I like to cut an onion. A lot of people cut it the same way, just cut in different, kind of in a different order. All right, so we have our onion ready to go. I'm going to cut all the way through the onion, so you're going to hear me hit the cutting board, but I'm not going to cut all the way to the top. I'll show you why in just a second. This is just, I don't know, half of an inch or so. I just need a nice small chop. Now I'm going to go into the onion. I think I can go twice in there. Make sure your knife is nice and sharpened, and you really got a good hold on that onion. You want it to slip out of your hands. Now I'm going to do one last cut perpendicular to my first slice, and now you've got a really nice, even chop or dice, depending on how large your little cuts are, right? Yes. Everything will cook at the same time, at the same rate. And the only reason you don't go all the way up to the top is just so that you have one little piece to either compost, throw away, or save for your vegetable broth. Okay, and I'm also going to, and I've already pre-cut a little bit of garlic as well. So I'm going to pull, now I don't use any oil when I'm cooking. I do a dry saute. And when you do a dry saute, you want to make sure that you have a little bowl, a little ramekin of water next to you. And it usually serves two purposes, and I'll show you why, what those two purposes are in just a minute. But today it's going to have three purposes because we are using egg roll wrappers. And we need a little water to seal. And we'll get back to this as well. All right, get that nice and hot. Sizzle, sizzle. It's going to start to smell really good in here in just a few seconds. Okay, so we're going to put our onions in there. We've got a high heat. And what I'm going to do now is just pull the heat down to a cooking temperature, so medium high. And if your onions or whatever you're putting in there first start to burn a little bit, actually I'm going to throw my peppers in there too. This is just a half of a red pepper. If they start to burn a little bit, no big deal, because you want to keep everything moving. And this is the first reason you're going to throw in a little bit of water. That's the first reason you're going to have some water next to you. Now, typically, now just for time today, I didn't do it, but typically what you want to do is use that water to initially make sure that your pan is at a really high heat. Now, when you have a pan or cookware or whatever, just at room temperature, the molecules on the surface of that pan or the entire pan itself are not doing anything. They're stable. However, when you add heat to the bottom of that pan, all the molecules on the surface of that pan start to shake and shimmy really fast and talk to one another. Eventually, they start to expand and contract, and expand and contract. And as the heat increases, they're going like this, real fast, real fast, real fast. Now, what's happening is if you put your food on your pan, on the surface of that pan, as it's still heating up, expanding, expanding, and contracting, your food will stick to that pan, the molecules will stick to that food, and that's what's creating that stickage, which is what we don't want. Now, you can bypass that by putting oil in your pan and creating a buffer between the pan and your food. Well, it's also, remember, oil, I mean, if it's going to create a buffer between the pan and your food, remember you're eating that oil too. It's also going to create a buffer between your taste buds and the food. So that's why we always want so much more salt, sugar, and fat, because that kind of breaks through it. But it's also adding several hundred calories. Remember, 1 tablespoon of oil, doesn't matter what kind of oil, if it's
120.
olive or coconut or any kind of oil, it's going to be 120 calories per tablespoon, 100% fat. Now, we don't typically just use 1 tablespoon of oil, do we? No, we coat the pan. Or if we're making salad dressings, we're adding 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup of oil, and then we're adding the rest of our ingredients. So I like to really bypass any oils. Okay, so when you are doing your dry saute, now how do you know, right? All the molecules, they're working their way up, they're working their way up. What you want to happen is you want all those molecules to get so hot that they're all talking the same language at the same time, creating an even cooking surface or a non-stick cooking surface. And because you can't see that with the naked eye, you have to test it with water. So you just add a little bit of water, just a drop or two, to the surface of your pan. And if it starts dancing around like a ball of mercury, then you're there. Then you add on your vegetables, pull it down to a medium heat, and get everything rolling. This is a really great exercise. This dry saute is a really good exercise in mindful cooking, because we are so used to adding food to a pan, right? And then adding oil, then adding food, and getting on our phones and pulling up Instagram and wondering what everyone's doing while we have this hot surface in the middle of our kitchen rolling and we've got food in there. I mean, that's just, what are you doing? Pay attention to your food, right? It's not going to take, you don't have to sit there for a half hour. Just in the beginning of your food, you really just want to pay attention to it. So I have some really nice business going on here. Now remember, plants have a lot of water in them too. So they will give off a lot of water, also helping you help everything kind of slide around in there. Now, if you want something that I love to do, if you want a quick or a cheater's caramelization, add a little bit of salt, just a little bit, and that will further pull out any waters, really condensing the sugars and giving you that nice sweetness that is so, so, so tasty. Okay, I'm gonna pull that way down. Actually, no, what I'm gonna do now is add in our garlic because my onion is pretty well cooked. Now, once you smell your garlic, like, I mean, maybe 30 seconds, once it becomes fragrant, that's when you're going to want to add in the rest of your ingredients because the last thing you want is burnt garlic. Yes. All right, I can smell it and that is tasty. Now, we're adding the mushrooms. And here's the thing, I am a mushroom lover and what a big cancer fighter mushrooms are. So whenever I can get them in, I do. But if you, like my husband, if you do not like mushrooms, you don't have to add them. It's okay. No big deal. This recipe is now yours. Play along with it. White beans might be nice in here also. So if you still need a little bit of umph in there, but you're not a mushroom person, maybe some white beans would be good in here. I haven't tried it, but you know, if you made it for me, I'd eat it. Okay, mushrooms have, right? Mushrooms have a ton of water in them. And they're kind of like spinach, where you put it in the pan, give it a few minutes, and it just becomes nothing. So I have really cut our mushrooms, chopped them up really well, just again for time, so that they cook quickly. This dish is you don't want it to become. Eventually, we really want to get rid of most of the water. We want it to become nice and thick because we're going to put it in these egg roll wrappers, and you don't want that kind of stuff to seep out. So that's really what we're doing here is getting rid of all the water in our vegetables, otherwise known as cooking the vegetables.
What type of mushrooms?
These are just little baby bellas, and you can use anything. Just use whatever's on sale. It doesn't matter. White mushrooms are fine. Shiitakes doesn't matter. Also, if you didn't want to do fresh mushrooms, sometimes I'll just use a bag of chopped or sliced frozen mushrooms and just throw the whole thing in there.
You know what would be incredible in this?
Tell me.
Have you heard of shroom meats?
I feel like I have, but I haven't used it.
I That would be absolutely amazing. Shroom meats has their ground or their pulled shroom meat, which is a shiitake based mushroom. Does have some oil. It is gluten free, but the consistency for putting into this would be absolutely incredible.
Where? Okay, is that the name brand? Shroom meat.
Shroom meats, yep. And you can just look up shroom meats and you can buy it online. And I'm sure they're getting it to stores. They're
I. Oh my gosh, I need to get my hands on that.
Yes. You know, I
Like,
let me hook you up with them. You know what? It's most likely if you'll do a live cooking demo with their product, they'll probably send you some.
okay, then I'll do it. Shoot. It is now. Do you get it online, or can I go to like Whole Foods and get it?
I'm not sure. I would have to look at their website. They sent me some, so I have some in my freezer.
Yeah,
If you were my neighbor, I'd share.
I'm very interested in that. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I'll definitely hook you up.
Okay.
So you added spinach.
Yeah. So I added. This is 10 ounces. 8, 9, 10 ounces, whatever you can find in the frozen section. It's chopped spinach, and I defrosted it by running warm water over it. It was in a colander, and I squeezed the heck out of it again because there's so much water in in spinach, and I really wanted to expedite the cooking process today and make sure I had as much water out as possible. And now I'm just going to throw in our artichokes. And this is just one 14-ounce can of artichoke hearts that I chopped up really well. So it's a spinach artichoke dip with added vegetables. So if, again, if you didn't want to do the mushrooms, certainly don't have to. Um, if you didn't want to do the red pepper, you certainly don't have to. But, if it's spinach artichoke, you got to do the spinach, you got to do the artichoke, right?
Yeah, just so we've done cooking demos before. Everyone play with the recipes. You don't have to
Yeah,
follow them. Taste and season to what you like. That's the
that's
best thing because
exactly
then
right.
you'll end up with a dish that you like as opposed to a dish that the person who made it likes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's, when people come into the Center for Plant-Based Living, that's what I tell them. Sometimes, well, we haven't done them since COVID, but they'll come back. We do hands-on classes. But right now it's just once a month, a demo class, and then the rest of them are just virtual Zoom classes. But you're absolutely right. That's what I tell people all the time is to take the recipe. Everybody always gets the recipes when you come in or take a class. Take the recipe, recreate it at home, and adapt it to your own palate. It's very important to do that. And during our hands-on classes, I have these tasting spoons that are set out for people. You've got to taste it. You've got to know what you're cooking for people. Okay, now this I'm adding. You can add your own, whatever spices. I think I have oregano, thyme, and rosemary on the recipe. Or if you just want to do your own Italian blend, that's totally fine too. And I talk about Trader Joe's all the time in my classes. I really do think that I need to be put on the payroll. They have this 21 seasoning salute. I don't know if you ever get this or not. I think that they still have it in inventory because every time I go to Trader Joe's, I buy a case of it. It's so fantastic. It doesn't have any sodium, and of course, there's 21 herbs in it. It's amazing. I put it on so much. You can put it on pasta, on pizza. We're putting it in our dip today. It's just fantastic. It's great in soups. I'm actually going to add a little bit more.
I actually use something similar to that that's by BJ's, the big box club. They have a no salt, has like a million seasonings,
Yeah.
organic, and
Oh, nice.
it's my go-to. It has like it not literally a million spices, but you think it does because
Right,
there's a
right.
lot of
It's
spices in there.
Yeah, it's just such a good blend, and you really enjoy it. Yeah, no, totally. I get it. I get it. And I mean, I probably lean on it too much, but I'm the person, there's so many different cooks and chefs and coaches and authors and whatever in this whole plant-based movement now. It's become such a hot thing. And my niche really is just the beginner cook, is the person who is trying to get from oh, I don't even know if you can say four-letter words on your show, so I'm not going to.
Yes.
Oh darn. Um, I don't know what to do, to gaining kitchen confidence, to okay, I kind of know what I'm doing and I think I can do this. So that's kind of the space that I own, because I was there for so long and I get it. Um, and that's really where I feel most comfortable helping people. So, even though I say I probably shouldn't lean on this stuff too much, it really helps people out in the kitchen. And it's not like a cheat or anything, it's
No,
just
it's
somebody else
perfect.
doing a little bit of work for you.
You don't
Yeah,
want to buy
yeah.
all 21 of those spices and you use
No,
like a pinch at a time. They put it together for you. It's worth it.
yes, totally. And it's super cheap, right? I think it's like $2.99. Okay, this is, we're
Silken
using
tofu.
tofu today for the
Yep.
base. This is silken tofu and it's extra firm. That's what we're using. Now I'm going to add a little bit of nutritional yeast. And now
Nutritional
this
yeast
is all
also,
to taste.
sorry, nutritional
Oh,
yeast
go ahead.
also known as nooch for people out there. When you see
Also known as,
NOOCH.
uh-huh. Yep. And I'm going to add a little bit of miso. Now, when you get your miso, make sure that you buy it in from the refrigerated section because um, the it well, first of all, don't buy the blend. We have a grocery store here in town who has regular miso paste. It's It's refrigerated. And they also have a miso blend, which is shelf stable, and it's in the so I don't want that much. It's in the international aisle. Well, you need, which has like a gazillion ingredients, and I can't hardly pronounce any of them, so I wasn't going to buy that. But you want to make sure that you get your miso from the refrigerated section because of those prebiotics in it that are so advantageous to your gut. And we're learning more and more about the gut health connection. So make sure that you're not getting anything shelf stable, but rather refrigerated. So it's nice and fresh. And we're going to add a little bit of lemon. If you don't have a citrus press within reach, like me right now, just take a fork and your lemon. And if you're putting this in your blender, does not need to be a high-speed blender. You just use your fork because lemon seeds are really pretty soft. And the blades will just pulverize those little guys. All right, so we're gonna blend all this business up. Give it a taste to make sure that we're well balanced. I'd eat that. All right. Now we're going to add this. We're going to add this to that. We're going to add our mixture to our vegetables and mix it all together. Now you could, so if you were just making a dip, you could stop here. Well, a couple things. You could stop here once you mix everything up, put it in a nice little dish and eat. Or you could bake this, put it in a little baking dish, and then add some vegan Parmesan on top, put it in the oven, let it get nice and crispy, and then you could serve it. But what we're going to do today is keep going and put it into egg roll wrappers and then air fry it. Yes.
Yeah, that looks incredible.
Okay. Doesn't that look great?
Yeah, it looks like spinach dip. So
yeah. And it smells really great too. Okay, so it's really, I'm gonna actually put the heat up just a little bit. Get rid of some of this liquid. But I mean, actually it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna give a little taste, just, just in case. That's the money. All right. Okay, so we're pretty thick here. Now, what you want to do, and I think we're going to just go ahead and do this. I won't do it all right now, but again, for the consideration of time, I'm just going to put a little bit of our dip in there and let it cool down for just a couple of minutes. Actually, there's enough real estate in there. I can do all of it. I'm going to let it cool down for a few minutes because number one, it's going to be hot to hold or hot to touch. And then also as it sits, it's going to thicken up a little bit, which is going to make it a little bit easier to handle and to roll. Are there any questions coming through that we need to address?
We don't have questions. We've got comments. We've got Xena is salivating. Hi, Xena.
Oh, me too, Xena.
I know. And then Christine, hi. Thank you for joining us. She said she came a little bit late, but you didn't miss the recipe. Jamie says you're great, but waiting for you to cook. And that was a little while ago. So we got you started.
Okay. Sorry, Jamie. Gosh.
No, it was great. It was great learning about you and how and why you're doing what you're doing. Because it's important. There's a lot of people who can relate to you. So,
Yeah,
and are
I think
starting
it's
out right now, especially with January. We're still in January, right? Especially with
yeah,
January
I
being
know.
the typical month that people start to make changes. You can make this change any month, by the way. You don't have to just do it for the new year.
Certainly not. But yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, with it's been really tough with COVID. We were open here since we opened. So we opened in August. Yeah. I was open 7 months and one day, and then we had to close down. So yeah, it's been hard. I mean, we're reopened now, just not at maximum capacity, of course. But yeah, it's been challenging. So thank goodness for Zoom and for any of those online platforms.
I know. So Josephine just asked, she's struggling to eliminate added sugar. Any suggestion?
Well, added sugar. So it depends on like what does she mean? Like, is she
Oh,
adding
sorry,
sugar
salt.
to?
Salt, I read it wrong. It's sugar eliminate added salt. I must have sugar on the
Okay,
brain.
yeah.
Pardon me. Struggling to eliminate added salt. Okay, answer that
um,
question.
okay. What I would do is actually, I'm going to run over here and grab something. One thing that I like to use
Coconut
is,
aminos.
yeah, right, yeah, the coconut aminos. Bragg's uses one, or Bragg's makes one. Different grocery stores have their own. This is Trader Joe's. This is something else I buy by the case when I go to Trader Joe's because it is I either 2.99 or 3.99 there, but all the other brands are like 6.99 for a bottle, which is highway robbery. Um, this is so you can sub this for a lot of different recipes that have added salt. So like sometimes I'll put this in my hummus when I'm making hummus instead of salt. Sometimes I'll just put in a little bit of this. You can put this in just about like you can put this in a salad dressing. You can put this. You can use this instead of soy sauce if you have some veggie sushi. So this is a great alternative. Also, citrus is a great stand-in for for salt. So like if you're making anything like chili or pasta or whatever, and you're in your batch cooking, the next day when you get back into that recipe or you get back into that food and you heat it up, add a little bit of lemon, fresh squeezed lemon to the top, and then stir. It's not going to taste like lemon. It's going to just brighten the flavors. So where salt will give it that really savory-ish taste flavor, lemon is going to brighten it up and brighten up the colors. And I would really suggest you use citrus, lemon in a lot of your dishes too.
And the more you eliminate salt or lessen salt in the food that you cook, the less you'll crave that salt flavor.
That's true.
Because
Yeah,
you
that's true.
when you taste something that has salt in it after you use less of it or you don't use it, it tastes really salty and someone might look at you and think that's not salty at all, but it is to you because you've lessened the amount of salt that you're using. So your palate will adjust, just give it time. You'll eat some bland food to start and eventually it won't be bland anymore. It'll just have flavor because you're not just tasting salt in your food. Use other spices to kick up the flavor, enhancing the flavor of the actual foods that you're eating.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You do need to have a little bit of patience with yourself. And there's again there's great ways to kind of bypass that. And again, the 21 seasoning salute or your blend. There's a lot of blends out there.
Yep.
Give those a try. Okay, so let's get to the main event. Huh? I don't know if you've used these or not, but these are the soya vegan egg roll wraps
Yep.
that just a couple of grocery stores around here have. And they are freezable. So sometimes I'll just get like, 2 packs, 2 or 3 packs, especially if I use these for classes, I'll get 2 or 3 packs, throw them in the refrigerator, or I'm sorry, the freezer, and they last for months and months. Okay. This is the other reason we're going to be using some water. I'm going to close that seal. Now I have this is a 3 years old, this Go Wise little air fryer that I really like. And I've used it so much that sometimes I'll find that some of my food is sticking because I don't use any oil. Sometimes the food sticks. So somebody told me about these parchment paper, um, for, parchment paper for air fryers, and it has the little holes in it. So cute, right? Just from Amazon. And I have a plant-based Amazon store that I put together, and there's a link to that actually on the bottom of the recipes that you guys have put up.
And I posted the link to the recipe in the comments. So if you're watching, it's there. And I'll post it on the YouTube channel as well.
Awesome. Okay, so when you take out your little egg roll wrap, place it as a diamond in front of you so that you have a point coming down to you, and take about, gosh, and this is just all you got. It's just trial and error. So I just have just a regular spoon, and this is a heaping tablespoon, and I think I'm going to add maybe another half. Now you're going to put that about 2/3 of the way down, or 1/3 on the way up. And, you know, perspective again. Okay, now wrap that diamond, that point, up and over your food, right? And then give it a little tuck right underneath, okay? Now, just like you're making a burrito or a baby. Well, you're not making a baby, but the whole
The
diaper thing.
diaper.
Yeah. Pull in your sides, and just keep going. Roll, 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 roll. And that's it. Then take your water and seal up that those ends a little bit. Just just to help it stick a little bit. Now this is why, remember, you really want a nice thick paste almost, because you don't want the filling to creep out. And then just seal side down in your air fryer. And we'll just do a few of these, and then I'll fire this guy up. Has anybody, I don't know, if anybody who's watching, has anybody tried to do something like this or use these wrappers, or, um, you know, chat with us. Let us know what's happening as you're watching.
I've
Oh,
used the
that's a,
rice wrappers to make rice paper bacon.
oh, you know what? I have not done that before, but I hear it's delicious.
It is
Do you do it
delicious.
often?
I don't do it often, but it's easy. And what you're doing now kind of reminds me of how you roll sushi as well.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. Yeah, we have a Let's Roll class here every once in a while. We make sushi and egg rolls and something else. I can't remember what else is on the menu. Usually we have three recipes in each class. Coming up, we have a virtual on February 4th. We have a class, hearty meals, 500 calories or less. And, it's just to show people, because especially people who are new to this way of eating, they think, oh, God, I'm going to eat salads. Gross. No, 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 no. As much as I love salads, I am not going to eat a salad every day, especially in the winter, right? You want some nice, comforting food. So that's why I wanted to do this class, that showing people that you really get a lot of food for just a little bit of calories, really, because
Yeah,
things
500
like
is decent.
sweet potatoes and lentils and clearly greens, and there's just not a whole lot of calories in this kind of stuff. The calories come when you start adding a lot of nuts and seeds. And actually today we added tofu, so I don't have any cashews in here. In the past I've used cashew cream, and yes, it's delicious, but it's going to add a lot of fat and calories. So, and this is one of my all-time favorite dishes. My mom used to make spinach artichoke dip for the holidays, so it's just I've always loved spinach artichoke dip. And I always found myself eating it like crazy. And of course, back then, she was adding dairy and all that delicious stuff. But so that's why, another reason I've upped the vegetables and pulled back on the cashews, just to really increase that nutrient density, so that when I am indulging in this, I don't feel too badly about it.
Josephine just said that she used them all the time, but she was frying them. and she's
Yeah.
trying to eliminate oil, so have not air fried them yet. Definitely try air frying. Air frying is probably my most used kitchen appliance in my kitchen outside of my
Yeah.
Vitamix. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
use air
Yeah,
fryer
what a
almost
great
every
little
day.
invention.
Yes, the tiny convection oven, so things get even crispier than they could possibly get in a convection oven itself.
Right. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
long how
convection
long
oven
does it
on
take to
crack.
cook them?
I have to look at my I think it's just like maybe 11 minutes or so, and I think at 400 degrees. I have my recipe right here, but I'll take a look. This is the last one I'm going to do.
Let me see.
Okay.
It's bake for 11 minutes or air fry at 400 for 9 minutes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to. All right. And we're on. So we'll let those go for 9 minutes and show them to you. And I mean, I'll just after we're finished here, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to scoop this into my mouth, and then I'm going to make more of these and split them between my mom and I for dinner. So, having egg rolls for dinner, spinach artichoke egg rolls for dinner, not a bad thing, right?
No, not at all. So Josephine got an
Yeah.
air fryer for Christmas, and I'm curious as to which one you got, Josephine. So please share with us if you can. And one of my favorite things to do in an air fryer is potatoes. Very, very
Oh,
simple.
yeah.
Just cut up the potatoes, season them, put them in the air fryer, cook them. I make stuff up the way I cook them all the time. And they come out as like little pockets of heaven.
Little pockets of heaven. Mm.
They're soft on the inside, they're crunchy on the outside. It's like little baked potatoes in a little triangle form because that's how I cut them.
So when you do that, how do you get this, everyone, how do you get the seasoning to stick? Or do you
I
just do it so quickly after you cut the potatoes are still kind of wet?
Yeah, I just cut them, toss them, put them in the air fryer, and done. And yes, does
Yeah.
the bottom of the air fryer have seasoning in it? Yes, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still
That's
tastes
why you
good.
have the tray.
Exactly, exactly. You have to have the tray there. She got the big emerald one with the rotisserie. I have a rotisserie too. I've used it once so far, but I had trouble getting it to rotisserie to circle. But my boyfriend was able to get it to do it, but then I had to like check it, and then I couldn't get it to do it again. So I got annoyed.
What did you cook on the rotisserie?
Potatoes.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did.
I was like, oh, I'm making potatoes, and like I said before we got live, I have an area air fryer, and it has three levels, so I can cook all three. I can cook three things at one time, or three levels of stuff at one time. So to use the rotisserie, it comes with this cage, which you can put the potatoes in, and it'll circle on its own.
Oh, that's what you,
That
okay, got
rotisserie
it. Yeah.
thing. It also comes with a
Hmm.
rotisserie that you can use a rotisserie, but I don't have. What am
Stick
I
in the
gonna put? What
bird.
am I gonna put tofu? So I mean,
Right.
so I this cage thing, which is really it reminds me. It reminds me of the circus when the motorcycle guys went around. So I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't cook anything else in there at the same time, so I actually prefer to put them on a tray and then cook something else like tofu one level, potatoes another level, like eggplant, which you said you didn't really know how like what to do when you first use it. We put
Hmm.
eggplant in the air fryer and it's amazing.
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. I still cannot stand eggplant. I will use it. The only time I'll use it is when I'm making an eggplant manicotti. I'll use that as noodles, right? Sliced eggplant. Other than that, I cannot stand eggplant. I think it's so disgusting and mushy and gross, and it's cute, but oh my gosh. Eh. So that's how you do eggplant is you put it in your air fryer and just nosh on it.
Well, I do have an olive oil cooking spray. So
Okay.
what I'll do is when you have to salt eggplant, you can't not salt it. It's gross if you don't salt it. So I just put it on a tray and I salt it and I turn it over, salt it again, and I have a garlic salt that I in a grinder, and then I will actually I think and then I think I'll just take the olive oil cooking spray and do one of those spritzes on each side, and then other spices, whatever I want to put on it, and then throw it into the air fryer. And it comes out crispy. It's not soft and it's crisp. So, and
Oh my gosh.
I like things overcooked, and that's one of the things I love overcooked because I put it on the barbecue and get it black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the air
Now
fryer
you
emulates what I was doing on the barbecue.
so you cube it up,
I slice it.
just slice it.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, so it's like steaks, or you know
Yes.
what I mean?
And they're
But like a
thin. I
thick.
slice it thin. I don't do thick. So the
Oh,
thicker you do it, you're going to end up with that you more probably more eggplant taste rather than almost like a fry. So like almost
yes.
like eggplant circles that are like fried. Like eggplant potato chips is really kind of probably what
Oh,
they're like.
okay. Okay. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so the thinner you do it, I can make you like eggplant. I absolutely love it. But if it's too hard or if it's too if it's too hard, it's not pleasing at all. It's not edible in my mind. So
Right.
without frying it, right? You can air fry it, you can batter it and air fry it, and that's absolutely delicious as well.
Okay, you know what? You can batter anything and it's great. Like, let's be real, you know? I
Right,
mean,
but
even even eggplant I think I eat battered, right? But this whole business of just air frying, you know what? I mean, challenge accepted. That's all I have to say.
okay.
I I'm gonna have to do that. I guess would you slice it on a mandolin?
I didn't. I just slice it with my knife. But you
Okay.
could if you I guarantee you get like a chip. You'll definitely be chips. You have to watch how long you cook it for if you do the mandolin, because it'll be really thin, like really
Okay.
thin. And
Hmm.
Josephine's
Hmm.
thinking about doing seitan in the air fryer, which would be
Okay.
you know that would be interesting if you season that and you have it do the rotisserie. That would be pretty cool. I can't eat seitan because of the gluten, but I can definitely
All right.
see being able to do that. And then Susan said she wishes that she had room for an air fryer and to ask her if she could bake this. And I commented that yes, you have in the recipe that you bake it. It's actually at 400 for 11 minutes if you bake them in the oven.
Yes, yes. And every oven is calibrated a little bit differently, especially if you're, if you're in Denver, if you're, with altitude or whatever. But so just make sure your oven light is on, or you peek in there every once in a while, because what's happening is you want to make sure that because everything's cooked on the inside, really. We're just kind of browning those and solidifying the seal of your egg roll. So once it starts to turn a little brown, that's about when yeah, I mean, these are turning. That's about when you want to stop, because as they cool down, just like with the filling, as it cools down, it's going to harden up even more. So you don't want it to be really brown, and it's just not going to take a long time. You can even you can put your oven, if you have have a convection setting. I would start at 9 minutes. It might take a little bit longer, but I would say it would go 9, 10, maybe 11 minutes. But
Right.
just watch them. It's not a long cooking process.
So Susan just said baba ganoush roasted eggplant dip. I absolutely love baba ganoush. You know, you can make some baba ganoush
Okay.
and put it into those egg rolls.
You could, but you have to make sure that it's like really, really thick, really thick,
Yeah, that would be absolutely delicious. So,
and leave some chunks in there, because you don't want to just like bite into like something that's just like a hummus, right? You want some texture in there. But yeah, you could totally do that.
yeah, and the other thing, if someone you know you're eliminating the oil, but if you want to take a little bit of oil, like that cooking spray, the organic olive oil cooking spray I have again from BJ's, you can when you put those into the air fryer, you can just do a spritz like really fast
Hmm.
over those egg rolls, and
Hmm.
you'll get an even crispier outside for you're not getting that full calorie load of the oil. You're just
Yeah,
getting a
that's
little
right.
bit of flavor. So I mean, you don't have to, but if you're in the middle of that transition and you're like, I want a little bit of this, that will give you enough that you're just like, oh, this,
Oh, you know what? It's a really good point, because yes, there are studies. People say, oh, well, there's studies out there that really good, first press olive oil is advantageous to heart health. Well, yes, there are studies that say that, and there is some validity to that. However, the only reason I just say I don't use any, or we don't use any in the shop, is just so that you get into that practice, so that you know what it really tastes like when you eat something that doesn't have any oil in it, or you learn how to cook without any oil. But whatever you do in your own kitchen is totally up to you. But that's just what we do here, and just to get you into that practice. But my husband and I go out to eat. I mean, not so much right now because of COVID, but when we go out to eat, there's oil in the foods, and we do ask for, if we get something, like if we get like roasted Brussels sprouts or something, I do ask the chef to please, not drown it in oil.
Right.
And they're respectful of that. But the best food that you're ever going to have is going to come out of your own kitchen, because that's where you have control. So it's really just about pulling back on the amount of oil, because that is going to help you pull back on fat and calories, extra fat and calories that most of us, me included, just do not need. So we're all most of us are kind of fighting that little bit of weight gain over the holidays, and of course COVID too. So it's just, if you can get that out of your diet, I think that you'll see, if that's the only thing you do for the next 30 days, actually, I think you'll start to see some improvements. And I love that sound.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Right. I mean, imagine
Oh,
how much more food you could eat with 120 calories.
right. Actually, probably 600 or 700 calories, because we just
Right.
go, right?
Yeah. No, but if you're
Okay.
counting, I mean, you could probably eat at least one more of these egg rolls.
Yeah, you sure could. You sure could. Good, great point.
Yes.
And they are hot, but they cool down quickly. You certainly don't want to eat them quite yet. But I'll show you. I think you can. I don't know if you can kind of see how they're
Yeah, they
just
got
a
browned.
just a yeah, just a little bit browned. And I mean, you can turn them halfway if you want. But there's still enough with that parchment paper with the holes in it, that there's still enough air going through there. So they're cooked pretty well all the way through. And I'm just going to give it a few more minutes and then dig in.
Yes. I'm outside of the fact that I hate mushrooms. These are these look amazing to me. I want to make that spinach artichoke dip, and and we talked about how you would use a rice paper wrapper in order to make these gluten free, because you do have that option. Everything else about this is gluten free except for the wrapper.
Yeah, and with the rice paper wrapper, I would double up on the rice paper wrapper. So it's just, instead of grabbing one, you grab two. That's it. Just because, I mean, they're so delicate, and you just don't want them to, burst open and gush all over your nice air fryer. But just,
Yeah,
yeah, just double up.
oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah, no, I mean, looking forward to showing us what the inside of that looks like. And
Yeah, let's do that now, actually. And if anybody, I did want to mention this, if anybody is interested in virtual cooking classes, I'm always populating our calendar here at the Center for Plant-Based Living, and I think I have two or three up on the calendar now. I have to put some more up this weekend, but through January, if you use the promo code plant-based STL, and that's plant-based STL, all one word. Um, when you're checking out, you'll get 20% off. And that's for anything that's on the calendar. And it's not just one thing. If you want to buy two classes, if you want to get a class for a friend, if you and a friend want to do it, grab your girlfriend from across the country, log in, and take a class together. Super fun. It's really nice. I mean, it's clearly, we can have classes or people in class from all over the country. So it's neat. Whereas we couldn't do that before. Actually, I'm going to do this one. Oh, hot, 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 hot. Oh my God, and I just did these. I just sharpened these. I can't even hardly, oh, I'm going to use good heavens. Only on live TV, right? And I keep meaning to tell myself, I mean, I've been open long enough. You'd think that I would remember to bring in a serrated knife.
there it goes.
There it goes. All right. Oh,
Oh, look at that. I'm so
Yeah.
envious of you. You get to eat this.
Well, when you log off, girl, go ahead and make them.
Yeah, I think I have to get spinach and artichokes. I have to get the
Right?
basic ingredients to do it, and I might have the rice wrappers. So
And if you
if
have some white beans, I think that like, again, you just don't want it to be too I mean, you want some umph in there, right?
Mhm.
So I would say beans, but you could probably get away with just the spinach and artichoke.
Yeah, the shrimp
But just
meats, or there's a
oh,
there's
the
some
shroom meats,
this
that's right.
right. There's something called barbecue that's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a gluten-free, soy-based like barbecue, which yes, it's absolutely amazing. They have a gluten-free and a glutinous version. So that would be incredible in there if you wanted to go like a more southern twist. You can
Yeah.
have like maybe a little line of barbecue sauce in it. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, or dipping in barbecue sauce even. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a just kind of go by feel cook. So yeah, that's just like that's why I say it's like everyone should just don't be afraid to jump outside that box, and you'll make
sure.
absolutely delicious food and season and taste, and you'll have this on your counter to
Yeah,
to
right.
eat to eat all on your own.
And you don't need any, because this is a dip already. You certainly don't need a dip for a dip. So, if you choose to find something to dip your egg roll in, that's fine. But I didn't create one because it already is a dip. So,
Right. You've actually instead
so
of instead of like taking the crackers and dipping into the artichoke dip, you just put them in the cracker.
yeah, just pick it up, you know. But yeah, so that's why there's no, and it's also, I was thinking today, I'm like, gosh, it's actually a pretty good COVID safe food. So if you're getting together with people from your bubble, and for Super Bowl or whatever, you can make a batch of this, leave it on a table, swoop in, grab it, get out, and whatever, but it's something where, because really we are mindful. I'm mindful about this, everybody's mindful about this, is you're making food, because I mean, I have gone to, we just got over the holidays, and I was with just a couple of people from our family, you just kind of watch things, but there is still, you want some food out, and maybe you're in a cocktail or whatever, but nobody was really dipping things, and there wasn't like a buffet where everybody's using the same large serving spoon to put their salad or whatever on a plate. It's just everything was just really finger food. So you get in there, pick it up, and get to the other side of the room.
So we have a question coming in, and then we'll close up. Megan is asking, "Do you love that brand air fryer or others recommended?"
So I really like the Go Wise, but again, it's like 2 or 3 years old. Yeah, it's never caused me any issues, and it's very consistent. I really do like it. And when I got it 2 or 3 years ago, it was like $70. So I'm sure it's less now. But my husband just bought um, the Breville
Yeah,
um,
that's more
air
money, but
fryer.
that's a great air fryer.
Yeah, it's the smart one that does everything except talk to NASA. So and wow, I mean, I'll tell you what, one day I haven't used it that much. It's at home and I find myself here more than at home. But one day I was just, I mean, last week actually, I was like, gosh, I just really want a piece of toast, just toast and peanut butter. And weird, I know. And so we keep our bread in the freezer because it's that hippie loaf, right? It's all that those preservative free stuff. So we keep it in the freezer. And I thought, well, and we don't have a toaster at home. We've never had a toaster for whatever reason. I always just throw it in the oven. And so I thought, oh, we have this crazy new machine. So I took a piece of bread out of the freezer and just popped it into the air oven, whatever, and hit toast. And I'll tell you what, that thing was the best piece of toast I ever had. And I told Tim, he goes, damn it, it better be for what we paid for that thing. And I said, but toast aside, air frying it, we've used it probably 3 or 4 times. It's great. That Breville, I mean, there's a reason that everybody talks about it. I mean, it really is a good product. So it does cost a little bit more, but I, it's a really good product.
You oven broil your bread for toast. I actually now don't have a toaster oven. I gave it away and are using that area air fryer for toasting as
Yeah.
well. And it's it's amazing. I mean, you're like,
Yeah.
because it's no longer overly toasty, but it's still soft. It's like you're baking your toast
It's weird.
in the same amount of time that it takes to toast it in a toaster oven. And when we talk about the
Yes.
Breville, we're talking about like a 300 something dollar air fryer for people out there, just so you know. It is the top of the line air fryer. There are many,
Hmm.
many, many most important thing that I advise, do not buy the smallest one. They come in different sizes. They have the small one for like a single person, they have like a medium size, they have a larger size. Don't buy the
You
small
mean
one, like the
the
size of the
the
size of the air fryer itself. Like you can
oh, you're not just talking about Breville, you're just talking about air fryer in general.
any air fryer in general. Don't buy the
Oh,
small one. Breville, it's one size. It is
I
what it
thought
is. So
so.
it's more toaster oven. But a lot of the air fryers are the Go Wise of different sizes. Quarts. I have a 10-quart air fryer. That's what I couldn't say beforehand. So
That's right.
it's a quart. So they have like
Cord.
5 quart. They have like 3.5 quart. They've got 10 quart. The small ones, you'll be really disappointed because you really won't be able to make much in it. So just buy
It's a really,
large,
really good point.
just buy larger, medium to large, depending on the size of your family. I have two air fryers. There are times where I do have both of them out and I'm using both of them when I'm cooking, and it's only two of us. So keep that in mind if you want to make like multiple things in your air fryer for a course of a meal, the larger
Yeah.
size that it is. And like this one with the Go Wise, I have one, it's just a pull out and you dump the stuff in and you close it. There are like the Breville and the area, and another one that I've had is layers. So and then you can do
Trays.
trays, thank you, and you can do multiples at once. So that helps if you're going to be cooking tofu, eggplant, potatoes all at the same time. Granted, they all cook at different paces, but you can add a tray when it's time to add the eggplant because it takes 5 minutes instead of 15. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's actually pretty cool, and I'm a fan of just putting everything on the same temperature and just letting it go.
Me too.
it's just it's
Hmm.
just
I'm with
it's
you.
just easier.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
Caryn, this has been incredible, absolutely incredible. And
Thank you.
if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
On social media, STL Veg Girl. That would be Facebook and Instagram. Um,
is there an underscore in this STL veg score?
um, yes, I think there is. I'm
There
sorry
is, right?
for Instagram. Yes, yes.
And
And then in
it's
yeah,
VEGGRL or GIRL?
GIRL.
Okay, good. Okay.
And
And
then
that's
Instagram for the Center for Plant-Based Living is plant underscore based underscore center. And then for Facebook, it's just Center for Plant-Based Living. But, or, that's social media, but, the websites are stlveggirl.com. And then the Center for Plant-Based Living website is super annoying. It's CPBL for Center for Plant-Based Living, CPBL underscore, or no, sorry, dash STL.com. But I mean, if you just Google that stuff, it all comes up.
all right. Nope, that's perfect. Let me add this. Yeah, easy to get in touch with you, and the recipe is included in the notes for anyone that I can go back and I can add it now to the. There's the recipe. Easy to just type
Awesome.
out if you're seeing it. And we have, I think. All right. And then Josephine said, looks great. I will definitely try these and we'll use the dip idea for later. Thanks very much. You're so welcome, Josephine. Really appreciate your
Oh,
watching as
thank
well.
you.
Caryn, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You are incredible. I hope to be able to meet you in person and do stuff in person with you
Yeah, let's
because,
do a veg fest.
well, you're talking to the right person. I've got
I'm
I've got
available.
7 of them. So it definitely have some virtual stuff coming up like this year, And then in person where we'll actually have people do stuff where I feel comfortable with people congregating, being around one another. Probably not until 2022.
Yeah.
Probably do events, but not have where people sit and watch people do stuff, because it just I just want people apart, and
Yeah. Oh, for
putting
sure.
them together would not be like the best thing this year, not yet at least. So
Not yet.
we'll get closer. We're definitely getting closer. But I hope you have a great night, and I appreciate
You too.
you. And this is fantastic. Thank you. And I love it's just more stuff to add to the repertoire to make. And this is definitely something I want to make.
Dinner, girl. Dinner.
Oh, definitely for you. Well, have a good night, okay?
Thank you. Take good care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for our cooking demo and learning all about the Center for Plant-Based Living, and learning about Caryn and her history and what brought her to this, because she's very similar to many people who are just starting their plant-based journey and they go, what do I do? She's that person. So what a great person to learn from. Once again, wear your mask over your nose, under your chin. Make sure you do that when you go out, you're around people, you must wear a mask. No, even better, wear like an N95 mask, a better mask, because there's some really nasty like variants of COVID out there now. You have to figure that every person you come in contact with may be positive. So if you can, double up, get an N95. If you're going to a grocery store, anywhere that's more public, inside, wear your mask and wear it correctly. If you can, curbside pickup, takeout, support your local vegan and plant based friendly restaurants. If you have the means, please do that. Help them get through this pandemic, because we want them to be there when we can sit down and go out for a meal again. They're having the hardest time when it comes to this, because they can't ship food to you. It's harder for them to survive this without having people come in and sit and dine. So you can definitely do takeout. We do it as often as we can to support our local restaurants and our food trucks. Please do that. Do it safely. Take care of yourselves. We will be back on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Ramona, who is an Olympic athlete. She's trying to get to Japan this year, and you're going to learn how you can help her do that and who she is. And she's like raw vegan and Olympic athlete. Huh? Who thought that could happen, right? Well, it's easy, because you can be an athlete surviving and living on plants. So, everyone, it's Thursday. Have a great Thursday, and we will see you on Saturday. Bye.